Hey guys, it's Woody Money. This is Madeline Money. This is Josiah Money. This is Ava Money. Today we're going to be talking about the posture of parenting. I hope it blesses you guys. Let's go for it. Several years ago, we went on a mission trip to Brazil, and we had an incredible opportunity to build a tree house, a little playground for the kids in the community. The kids in the community there, it's a whole nother ball game for kids there than it is here in the place that we went. Children there are not typically seen as a blessing as they are here. They're kind of seen as a burden and almost almost not the parents' responsibility. They're kind of let into the community, and it's very odd to see a family unit there where you've got a husband and a wife and with all the same kids. There it's more of a yours, mine, ours, and then theirs, and some of theirs, and some of theirs, and some of theirs, and some of theirs. So it was very odd for them to see Jess and I with 3 kids that were all ours. In that community, there's not really there's not a family unit, so it's very misunderstood. So it was great to be able to kind of portray the family and show them what family looks like. I'm sure it was odd for them to see, but I'm sure it was good for them to see. And so while we were there, we got to take part in the building of this playground. And we went one day into the jungle on a boat, several of us, and we gathered just tons and tons of wood. There was actually some of the boards that we were gathering weighed somewhere in the neighborhood 175 pounds. They were 14 feet long. And the way that they were gathered was somebody took a chainsaw and literally cut them out of this giant tree, cut these boards out of this giant tree, and we had to tote them a couple of 100 yards through this just slop. I mean, just absolute mud and leaves and nasty stuff all the way to the river, put them in a boat and go get another one. And and so it's pretty difficult to go grab this gigantic board, go to the boat, go back, go grab another gigantic board, go to the boat, go back, go grab another gigantic board. And what I realized was that I could actually carry more than what I thought I could by the way that they balanced the board on my shoulder. And I think parenting is something like that. I think that as parents, there's this giant weight, right? Y'all sit up. There's this giant weight that we've got as our kids, and we're trying to raise them right, and we're trying to do right by them, and we're trying to teach them the things of God and help them to prepare them for the future. And it's this giant weight, and it looks so big, so insurmountable, so giant. And I think that the way that we carry it matters. The way that we balance this weight on our shoulder determines how far we can carry it. And the posture of parenting, is how we put that board on our shoulders. The way we were able to carry it is 2 people would grab each end and one person would walk under it. And this 14-foot long board, you would get right in the middle of it, and you would carry it on your shoulder, off the bone, kind of right on the back. And so somebody would show you how to carry it, and then you would be able to walk with it balanced on your shoulder. And it didn't seem as heavy when it was balanced right, but as soon as it got kind of off balance, it was impossible to carry. And so I know it sounds cliche, I know it sounds routine, I know it sounds however it sounds, I know it sounds this way. But parenting, being a good parent in the world today requires this incredible balancing of this weight, I think it comes through three things. I know this sounds cliche. I know this sounds, very, something you've heard before, but it comes through three things. Prayer, number one. Come over here and sit down, JoJo. Prayer, number one. Worship, number two. And Bible study, number three. And I'm talking about this private prayer, private worship, private Bible study. Now, I don't, we've got three kids and JoJo is just all over the place. So the way that I have spent time in prayer and the way that I've spent time in worship, the way that I've spent time in Bible study has looked different over the years. Developing a posture to be able to carry that heavy board begins with prayer. And just being able, the board of parenting, that you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it through this impossible journey, this impossible slop, this impossible trek, right? Like you don't know if you're going to be able to carry it, but it begins with prayer and and sometimes that's just an awareness that God is in the room. Literally that God is here, that He is all around us, that everything is, that God is everywhere, right, Madeline? That He's right here. And number two, and I know it's not going to be a shocker, but worship. Literally your own private adoration of God. It doesn't necessarily have to be this moment where you're having 2 hours of this expressive moment where you're jumping around the room. However, you don't have, sometimes you don't really have that long in the middle of a day when you're parenting, especially parenting young kids. However, you can in your own heart be worshiping throughout the day. You can be in your own heart in a place of prayer, can't you? You can be in your own heart up in a place of worship where you're constantly realizing how good God is. Your thankfulness levels are up. Your contentment levels are up. Your patience levels get higher through all that. And the third thing that I think is important for the balance of this giant board, to create the proper posture to carry this board is, I know it's a shocker, but it's Bible study. And I know that we say that, and for some reason, when we hear people teach on this, we go, we should all be doing that. In reality, like how much Bible study do we actually do on a personal level? And I don't mean on Sunday, and I'm not trying to put down anybody. I'm just saying that those three things, prayer, worship, and personal, private Bible study, are the three things that create the posture that can help us carry this board, this giant board of parenting, to be able to make it the long haul, to make, when it's on our toughest day, prayer, worship, and Bible study are the three things that are going to help us get there. And I encourage you guys to get in whatever method and form of that, whatever you can do that mixes those three things together. Right now, my wife is reading an awesome book, and it's a Christian fiction book, but it's based on a Bible story, and through that, she's getting all three, prayer, worship, and Bible study, just in one book, because it's generating all of this prayerful state in her mind. It's generating a worshipful state in her mind. It's even creating this Bible study in-depth moment, because the story is actually based on a Bible story. So you can get creative and do something that mixes all of these things up in your life. And so prayer, worship, and Bible study. And I actually had a article that I actually found on the internet, and I wanted to read some of it to you guys. The first verse in this article is Proverbs 4:23. It says, "Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life." It says, "My top priority as a parent isn't to shape my children's actions, is to focus on their hearts." And I'm not saying their actions don't matter, but I'm saying to focus on building their heart and shaping their heart. And it says, "Parent the heart well, and the actions you desire will follow." I think that's such a cool perspective. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments there. It says, "Every time I encourage one of my kids, I'm making a deposit into their heart." And our second verse is Hebrews 3:13. And it says, encourage one another daily. And it says, every time I encourage one of my kids, I'm making a deposit into their heart. Every time I correct, it's a withdrawal. My goal is to keep relational change in my pocket. In other words, I aim for more encouragement and less correction. Because correction is necessary, I want to encourage far more often to maintain a positive balance. And I think that's really cool. I think it's cool to it's good to correct and to, but I've even said, even in our street ministry video, I talked about how relationship evangelism is the place for correction, not our in the street, this one moment we get with people. That's not the place of correction, shouting correction at people, but building relationship with people and helping them to build their life. That's the place for correction, where I have deposited all of these positive things, and I think that applies to parenting, where I'm depositing constantly all these positive things, which then buys me the ability to share a correction, and they know my heart, and they can see through. They see the heart behind what I'm saying. So I encourage you guys to encourage your kids daily. It says encourage one another daily, Hebrews 3:13. The third verse is Proverbs 29:18. Says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And it says, does it ever seem like your kids forget they were made on purpose, for a purpose? And it says, I know mine do. They forget that life is more than video games, sports, and Disney. They forget they were created as an answer to a problem in this world. As their dad, it's my job to keep reminding them over and over again. I do my best to stir God-sized vision in their hearts. And I think that's so good. Every night we get with the kids, we do a devotional, and then we go over our routine. And in our routine, they've memorized certain parts of Scripture. They've memorized some Bible verses and some other stuff. We go over those every night. One of the things we go over is I'll say to the girls, I'll say, what kind of man are you going to marry? And then they'll say, godly man. And JoJo, I'll say, what kind of woman are you going to marry? And they'll say godly woman, and we'll go over all these different things that are their purpose in life, and so they are constantly seeing it every single night right in front of them. And so we go over, you have been made for a purpose, and they know they've been made for a purpose. I tell them every night, you're going to change the world. Talk to Jesus. That's the last thing that I say to them. And so they're constantly thinking, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to talk to Jesus. So those are three verses that I thought were from this article that I thought were really interesting. Again, you can go to stewardship.com. It's 3 verses every parent needs to know. You guys can check that out. But I feel like to posture ourselves for parenting, we've got to have 3 things. Those 3 things that I mentioned: prayer, worship, and Bible study. And get creative. Put it in there however you can. And make a moment where you can be conscious of heaven, to bring that into your home. The Bible says, on earth as it is in heaven. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I want your kingdom to come in our home. I want your will to be done in here, in my home, in my family, in my kids, as it is in heaven. And the only way that's going to happen is if I posture myself correctly to carry the heavy, heavy load of parenting. It is so heavy. And I'm praying for you guys. I pray that God blesses you guys with the ability to see into your kids' lives and encourage them and speak into their heart and encourage them daily. I love you guys. If you like this video, please share it. Make a comment down below. Like and subscribe right here. And we love you guys. God bless you, and stay in the secret place.